Hello everyone, thanks for joining me. In this video, I'm going to be doing some more stitching. I have some new Spellbinders dies from the Merry Stitchmas collection, and I'm going to be making 2 mini Slimline cards with these. Let me show you what I have here on my desk. This first one is called Stitchmas, I can't say it, Stitchmas Tree Etched dies. It cuts out the holes to stitch in as well as the outline, so you can cut out the whole tree if you'd like. This one looks like you have a lot of stitching to do on it, but you really don't, and I'll show you that here in just a minute. This next set is called Diamond Stitch Etched Dies, and you can cut out this pretty diamond shape. It also has 2 outline dies, so you can cut the whole thing out if you'd like. On this card, however, I'm just going to be using the diamond stitching dies. But let's start out with the Christmas tree, the Stitchmas tree, I should say, die first. I have some beautiful Lagoon cardstock from Spellbinders. This is from their Essentials, Cardstock Essentials, and I'm going to cut out the outline to the tree first. I find it easier this way, and then I can line up the die with the holes in it onto this piece of cardstock. And I do like to tape it in place with some of the Best Ever Craft tape from Spellbinders. This will prevent it from shifting when I run it through my die cut machine. And most of the tape is going to go on the die, and then just a little bit around the back, just so I have less tape to peel off the paper and less chance of ripping it. And here it is all ready to go. I'll use my all-in-one tool to get rid of some of the little dots left in the holes. And I'm going to do it over this piece of white paper. Then I can just pick up the white paper and dust it off into the trash can. But here it is, all ready to go. I have some yellow thread as well as some very pretty pink thread. I'll cut this down to size first, and then for this card, or this tree, I'm only going to be using 3 of the strands. I'm going to very carefully pull these apart. Spellbinders has in their shop some new thread collections that you can buy from Spellbinders, but I had these already in my collection, so I'm just going to use these. I find it's best to use 2 or 3 strands because you're going to be going in and out of some of the same holes, and it'll fit better if you just use 2 or 3 strands. Otherwise, it just doesn't seem to fit. I'm going to find a needle, and the way I like to thread this is I put the thread over the needle and pull it out, and then I just pinch it between my 2 fingers and thread it that way. You can, of course, use a threader or whatever works best for you, but let's start with the yellow star. I'm going to go ahead and tape my end down to the opposite side of the tree, just to hold it in place. And then I can continue on with my stitching. So it has etched markings in the die cut to show you where to go. It's kind of hard to show you on camera, but you can see it really clearly when you're doing this. And I'm just going to go up and then in through the middle of the star and just work my way all around this star. It's really therapeutic and fun to sit here and do this. I really enjoy it. If you don't enjoy stitching, you could still color this in with markers or ink. I'll link to a video where I did just that. And now let's start on some of the, what are they called? The bulbs, the Christmas baubles on the tree. And all of these are going to be pink. I love the pink with the teal. So I'm kind of making an old-fashioned looking Christmas card with this die. And I'm not going to show the whole thing because it does take me some time to do this. But here it is all done. For this particular die cut, it's kind of hard to tape my ends on the back of it because there's so many holes in this die cut. So I'm going to knot them. I'll tie a couple of knots. And then I will trim them down really close to the paper. And then I'm going to use a little bit of glue just to make sure they stay in place. And I'll do that with all of them. Here's my last one to do, the Christmas tree star. I'll just kind of glue that into place and hold it down until it dries. But isn't that just cute? I used a little bit of gray thread on the stump. I cut out a piece of brushed silver cardstock that I'm going to attach to the back. I'm just using little dots of glue on the back of my Christmas tree. And then I can press this into the brushed silver cardstock. And I do end up putting some acrylic blocks on top of it just to hold it down flat. But look at that shine that you can see through some of the holes. I'm pulling out my small die of the month for July of 2021. I love this one. It cuts out a pretty piece for your Slimline cards. And it has the holes in it, so it kind of is matchy-matchy to the Stitchmas tree. I'm using a little bit of squeezed lemonade, and the pink is spun sugar. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glow behind this Christmas tree. I didn't like that one I did on camera, so I'm using the practice one that I did. There we go. I'm also pulling in the clear stamp of the month from October. I love this one. Comes with some pretty dies. And I'm going to be using the stamp that says sending. And I'll cut it out with a little bit of the Lagoon cardstock that I had left over. I'm going to emboss it, so I used my embossing powder first. Then I'll ink it up with some Versamark ink. And I do stamp this out twice. I like to get it nice and sticky. And then I can pull it out and pour over some white embossing powder. Isn't that cute? So let's melt this. It turns really bright white once you melt it. And then I can cut it out with the coordinating die. And here it is, all ready to go. I'm using some more of the Lagoon cardstock to back this. The second sentiment from the same set is going to say Christmas cheer. And I'm using some pink cardstock. This is Sand Pink from Spellbinders. And I'm cutting it out with a really old die. I just keep this on my desk because I use it so often. And it came from a Spellbinders card kit, I believe. So I'm going to glue down this white panel flat onto the Lagoon cardstock. The Christmas tree, I'm going to pop up with some foam. And if you back it like that, you can't see the foam through the holes, so that makes it just perfect. So let's put this down next. I like this little pop of dimension, it's so cute. And then the sentiment that says Christmas cheer, I also am going to pop up with some foam strips. I'll put it right under the tree. This gives the tree something to stand on. The sending sentiment, I'm going to glue down flat. But I love the colors on this card. It seems kind of old-fashioned to me, the pinks and the teals. Then I added some silver gems around this. Or no, I'm sorry, not silver, they're pink. They're new in the Spellbinders shop. And here's a close-up look. And now on to card number 2. I'm pulling out my mini Slimline nested glimmer dots. This was the glimmer of the month from July of 2021. And I'm going to cut down some of this gold foil down to size. This will be keeping with the dot theme of my stitched cards, and it's going to put little dots around the border of my red cardstock. So let's trim the top of this. I'm going to attach it to the red cardstock. Oh, and here's a look at the smaller sizes of the glimmer plates. I want these dots to be in an exact place on my paper, so I'm going to use the hinge method for this. I'll tape the plate onto the red cardstock. And then I can lift it up and attach it to the back. This will just keep it tightly in place so that I can lift up the plate and slip the foil underneath. And then I'm going to tape the other side down too. This will just ensure that it doesn't shift when I take it off of my glimmer machine and run it through the die cutting machine. So I allowed my glimmer machine to heat up. Once it's ready to go, the green light will come on, and I can just flip this face down onto the plate and put my shims on top of that. And then I press the button, the timer button, and that flashes. And once it's done flashing, it means it's ready to be taken off. And I run it through my Spellbinders die cut machine very slowly. That's a key step. So I'm going to flip this over and just very carefully peel up the 3 pieces of tape. And I reuse this tape several times. But I'll show you what this looks like. The gold is just so pretty. I believe it's called brass gold foil. And here it is. There is a lot of overfoiling on this piece of cardstock, but that can easily be taken care of with a white eraser. So here's my white eraser, and I'm just quickly getting rid of that. You can use a sand eraser too, but I find that the white eraser works really well. Next, I'm going to tape on the diamond stitch plate and run that through my die cut machine. I'll do that one more time. It just makes a beautiful design down the center of this mini slimline panel. I'm going to be using some really pretty shiny green thread this time. It's really slippery. It's more difficult to work with than just your usual threads because it is so slippery. But you can do it. I just find that I have to hold it in place on the back so that everything will be tight once I start sewing this. So my finger at the back is just kind of holding the thread in place. And then I can go up another hole and down into the center. I'll speed this up here, but I really love this pretty shiny thread. Makes a big impact on this card. On this card, I'm not going to glue this down. I'm going to just tape it in place, all of my loose ends. And also with this thread, I only used 2 strands instead of 3. I tried it with 3 and it was just getting too tight in the middle of the diamonds to keep sewing. So 2 strands are best. For my second diamond strip, I used some pink silk thread. And again, 2 strands. And here I am just finishing up with this. You can see all of the places that I taped it down. And then I can just trim off the ends that are hanging over the side of the paper. That's a lot of tape, but you, of course, won't see it. And I'm going to glue this down onto another panel. The sentiment for this card comes from a set called Mini Christmas Greetings. These have so many fabulous greetings in the set. And then it comes with a die, too. Here it is. You can cut out all of your greetings with. And I like this one because it says, "Joyful blessings for all." I'll use some liquid glue to attach this onto the card base. I did cut down this red panel just a little bit on the sides. I wanted to be able to see some white around the edges or have a white matting around it because that kind of helps draw in the white sentiment. And then I used another set. It's kind of new from Spellbinders, and it's called Christmas Blooms. And it creates this pretty small poinsettia flower. I'm using some green and red and gold cardstock to put this together. And I can just trim off the edge of the sentiment. I glued the flower right onto that. And then I popped up this whole thing with some foam adhesive. This will go right down the center of these 2 diamonds. My last touch on this card is going to add some fashion gold embellishments around this panel. I'm also going to add one in the center of the poinsettia. It just helped to bring that out a little bit more. So I'll add 3 more different sizes around the flower. These also come in silver, and they're perfect for the holidays. They can be little gold baubles for your Christmas tree, or silver if you have the silver. And here's a close-up look at the finished card. So if you like stitching on paper, you're going to love these. And there's several others in this release, and I'll link to everything I used, as well as to the other stitched dies from this collection in my description box below. The stitch work that you'll do on these Christmas cards make your Christmas cards really something special, more like a decoration that people can put up. Thanks for spending some of your time with me today. I hope you were inspired. I'll be back again soon with another video. Take care. Bye.